Recently, I listened to Werner Herzog. He's my favorite filmmaker to listen to because he's kind of nuts and he's also amazing. He said, well, when I got asked to teach film school, all I taught them was two simple things. I taught them how to pick locks and how to forge documents.
Lost in space, but that's okay. Climb aboard the Brand Spaceship today.
Anymore. I mean, I'm outfit repeating today because I feel like
Welcome
this is
to the Brand Spaceship. Jared won't stop talking, but I love him anyway. This is the Brand Spaceship. We're here today to watch some footage, I think, watch some clips. We're going to watch some commercials we made, and we're going to talk about them and talk about the process, and hopefully that is helpful to you. Thanks for being here.
Maybe this series is called Made by Mile 80.
Made by Mile 80, presented to you by Cactus Cups.
First on Made by Mile 80, do you want to preface this Velotric e-bike campaign with some of the experiences we had leading up to it?
Oh, I had forgot we were going to talk about this. Okay, a month and a half ago now? 2 months ago?
Time flies.
I was back on Earth, and Jared came to visit me in Austin, Texas, and we had a shoot to do. And as you can imagine, when you're making a commercial about electric bikes, you have to get the bikes before you can make the commercial. And let's just say they were being shipped from another country, and maybe they got shipped a little too late in the game, and it was down to the wire. Would we even get the bikes? I didn't know. Jared didn't know, but we were determined to get a hold of these bikes. This is where we insert the shot proving we did get the bikes, where it says because it's fun, and Jared
me in the
is
truck,
soaked in sweat in the back of a truck. Jared, tell the story of the day we got the bikes.
All right, the day we got the bikes is actually a great book title. We got a call from the client. They said, problem at the warehouse, couldn't get it shipped today. Well, that's a problem for us, right? Because the shoot is tomorrow. They said, but if you get out to Selma, Texas in the next hour and a half, you can go to the warehouse and they'll give you the crate and you can drive.
This is where I jump in and say a couple of things. One is we specifically had asked, and the client has been lovely. There's no negative energy. There's a lot of moving parts when you work with a brand and try to get the product from them. This was also a new product, so it's even harder to get because they're finishing it and we need to get it before it launches and all that. But we were kind of told everything was square and we were going to get it on time before that one conversation. This was quite surprising. And here's something to consider. We had an hour and a half to get somewhere that was about 75 minutes away from where we currently were at my house. And we needed to get a truck before we were able to get the bikes.
We need a U-Haul, right? So we have a U-Haul reserved, and we jump in Ryan's truck. We're zooming down these back roads.
I do have a truck. It's not big enough for 10
electric bikes, yeah. So we're zooming down these back roads, right? When we get to the U-Haul, it's a very tiny U-Haul, and the whole place is closed for lunch. And they will be back in 1 hour. And so that's too late, right? So I say, all right, Ryan, you drive ahead to Selma, Texas in your truck. I'm going to wait for these people to get back so we can get our U-Haul, and you just get there, say, these are my bikes. Don't let anybody take them, and I'll get there eventually. Well, while I'm sitting there in the gravel parking lot, a car starts driving straight towards me, and I'm like, that's weird, but it'll turn because it's a parking lot. And all of a sudden floors it and is coming at me at full speed. And I got, life flash before my eyes. Am I really going to die in a U-Haul parking lot? All this stuff. And it veers off and slams into a tree not 5 feet away from me. And editor, please show this photo. I will send you this photo to show it. I took a picture of how close the car came from hitting me. The guy gets out and I'm like, what? Why did you do that? And he said, oh, it's electric. And that was his whole excuse for why he almost rammed me out of a parking lot, because his car is electric and it malfunctioned. And so, Rusty Brand, if there is something malicious going on with the robots, we see you.
Are the AI here to kill us?
Right. So,
Rusty Brand, let us know.
Sorry, Ryan, I shall not disclose any self-incriminating information.
And so that was our full day before the day of the shoot. We did get the bike with about 10 minutes to spare in Selma, Texas. And after that, we spent 2 days on set. And so anything else you want to...
Yeah, I will say this. Whether you're a filmmaker or you're a brand hiring filmmakers, this is literally what filmmaking is. Recently, I listened to Werner Herzog, who he's not my favorite filmmaker in terms of what he makes, but he's my favorite filmmaker to listen to because he's kind of nuts and he's also amazing. And he was talking about how he got asked to teach film school. He said, well, when I got asked to teach film school, all I taught them was two simple things. I taught them how to pick locks and how to forge documents. In the end, hopefully it looks perfect. But every single story of the making of a commercial, the making of a film, I often think is more entertaining than the content itself, because somehow we all choose to do this as a job, but it really is hilariously difficult to get right.
It's chaos content.
Right. There's just so many moving pieces.
At the end of the day, though, we got something that we're very proud of. The client was incredibly happy with. And, this is what makes it worth it in the end. So let's start with, as you can see here, we have a number of deliverables, all from the shoot.
A couple of days of shooting can equal out many, many, many different deliverables. But let's get to the footage. Really like the flute that Daco added.
First, I want to talk about, so that was the full spot for one of their products. They had two different products. We shot two different spots, and then we, threw them all together in a number of interesting ways. But in order to get there, Ryan, how many cameras did we use for this shoot?
The Red V-Raptor was our main camera. Then we had a Canon R5C on a gimbal that did all the traveling shots. We had a Mavic 3 Cine, I believe is the exact model, for the drone. We had a Insta360 X3, I think it's called. We had a GoPro Hero, I think it's 11. No one knows anymore. There's too many of them. And we had iPhones. So we had 6 cameras. Is that right?
Yeah.
And we had stock footage.
And what else did we leverage here, which we talk about sometimes?
CGI.
So, yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so we had 6 cameras, stock footage, and also CGI all plugged in 45 seconds. As I say that, it just sounds like a bad idea and sounds overwhelming to other people, but it's actually it's just how I like to make things and how My Lady in general angles towards making things. We feel that the more varied textures and looks and feels, the more dynamic a spot becomes. And I think that this spot in particular is pretty representational of that. I don't believe it ever gets boring. I think that you're just watching to look and see and, that looks fun.
And it actually made it a lot more fun on set.
Let's talk about generally how a spot like this works in the sort of pre-production process. So one of the things that happened with this is that the client came to us, we'd worked with them previously, but they had just done something that was really, really high end, really expensive, really planned out, shutting down city streets, cops everywhere, fire department. I don't know all the details, but there was a lot that was involved. And so what they found was that people riding the bikes weren't as happy. They weren't as much enjoying riding the bikes, right? And if you think about it, it's like, look, I go and ride a bike. I have to be a really good actor to ride a bike and really be in the mindset of I'm having fun on my, trip downtown. If there's 20 people watching you, 50, 100 people watching you, cameras everywhere, you're on a trailer. The more elaborate a set is, the harder it is to capture those more organic moments. And so there's a process of the client knowing they wanted that, but also there are these rules in the commercial world. We come up with a concept, we set up a shot list, we do a storyboard, and we formulate all of the different pieces of content we're going to capture. And it makes sense because as a brand, you want to make sure that your brand is represented correctly. You want to make sure that you're not flying by the seat of your pants and letting someone do anything they want, especially when you're spending lots of money. Even after this pitch and after this conversation, there was quite a bit that was planned. In the case of this edit, there's only one scene that's actually planned out. It looks great. That is shot on the Red. Everything else is shot on worse cameras. So go ahead and pause that. Ah, you missed it. You missed it. Give me back there. Give me back there. Give me that great shot of her. And it's beautiful. That's what you pay for, right? At least to me. It is all blown out in the background, but there's a nice highlight roll off. It looks really beautiful. There's a little bit of diffusion on this, but we're shooting on our Zeiss primes on the red. That whole package that we shot with, when it's all said and done, about $40,000. And for that level, that's even considered cheap. Here's the thing. This is also intercut with an iPhone. This is also intercut with the Canon that we shot on with the R5C.
2 next shots.
That's a gimbal back there with a little tilter ring. That's what shot the vast majority of it. And the reason for this was that on the first day, as Jerry was pointing out, on the first day, it was all really planned out. And we're like, we have to get this type of shot and this type of shot. And we want to make sure we get it exactly as the brand wants. And that's important. However, it starts to feel less comfortable when people are riding their bikes. They start to have less fun. So on the second day, we just went and captured tons and tons of footage of riding around the city. When you look at the commercial, you can make sense of that. You can watch and be like, oh, I see this now. They're clearly riding with them. They use that simpler camera, the smaller camera. Here's a trick. When there's a lot of motion and a lot of interesting stuff going on in the frame, 99% of people cannot tell what camera you're shooting with.
Something you're hitting on here is really core to our message, which is this is a great example of giving up that control for the sake of the aesthetic and for the sake of the feeling that you're going for, right? So we knew very, very intimately what the feeling the client was going for, this organic, joyful feeling because it's fun. That's their whole slogan. So while they got used to that experience of having everything very, very planned with their previous shoot with another agency, at the end of the day, the reason they came back to us because they weren't happy with that and they didn't know why, but we did.
And this frame that's up right now is a perfect example of this. This is literally selfie footage that she took. A good transition right now might be to what we did to shoot the second day. So the first day was very planned. This is a perfect example of capturing documentary. In order to capture the most amount of footage, which if you want this sort of organic documentary feel, you end up capturing a lot of footage. So the caveat here is you better have good editors. Luckily, we do. Honestly, if you go into a circumstance with a traditional commercial editor, they might be like, you're fucking insane. This is going to take forever. It's too much money. This is something we're used to, and that's why we're able to do it.
So I hope this was useful. And please let us know in the comments if you want to see more of these. If it wasn't, or if you want to see more of these, or you just can't stand the sight of our stupid faces any longer, let us know before you dip out.
Please send me Hawaiian shirts.
He's running low.